There was a man named Arman who lived in the bustling city of New Horizons. From the outside, his life seemed perfect. He had a well-paying job, a lovely family, and a beautiful home. Yet despite having everything that one might wish for, Arman carried a heavy burden within his heart. He could not let go of the past. His mind was filled with bitterness, resentment, and unresolved pain, all tied to moments that haunted him. These emotions were like invisible chains that weighed him down, keeping him from truly experiencing the joys of life. The weight of these unspoken grievances began to affect his relationships. He would often snap at his family, withdraw from his friends, and carry a gloomy expression that others couldn't understand. Inside, Arman knew something was wrong, but he couldn't find a way out of the emotional prison he had built for himself. The past that haunted Arman. It all started 10 years ago. Arman had a best friend, Hassan, whom he had trusted more than anyone else in his life. They had grown up together, been through thick and thin, and considered each other brothers. But everything changed when Hassan betrayed Arman in the worst way possible. They had both invested in a business together, but unbeknownst to Arman, Hassan had secretly siphoned money from the venture, leaving Arman with huge debts. When the truth came to light, Hassan disappeared from Arman's life without an apology or explanation. Arman was left devastated, not just by the financial loss, but by the betrayal of trust from someone he considered family. For years, Arman held on to that anger, replaying the event over and over in his mind, never letting it go. His heart hardened as a result. Arman was no longer the kind-hearted, trusting person he once was. Instead, he built walls around his emotions, refusing to let anyone get close. He even resented those who tried to offer him love and support, including his own wife and children. The unresolved pain from Hassan's betrayal spilled into every aspect of his life. The burden of resentment. One day, Arman found himself at a crossroads. His wife, Layla, who had stood by him through all his struggles, finally confronted him. "Arman," she said gently, "I love you, but you're slipping away from us. Your anger is eating you alive. We can't live like this anymore." Her words hit him like a ton of bricks. Arman realized that he was on the verge of losing everything he had left. His family, his health, his peace of mind. The burden of resentment had grown so heavy that it was affecting every aspect of his life. Later that night, unable to sleep, Arman found himself scrolling through the internet and stumbled upon an article about the power of letting go. The article spoke of forgiveness, not just for others, but for oneself. It said that holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Arman read the words over and over again. Letting go doesn't mean you are weak. It means you are strong enough to release what is no longer serving you. These words struck a chord deep within him. He realized that by holding on to the past, he was allowing Hassan's betrayal to continue hurting him. The pain had not ended 10 years ago. It had only deepened because Arman had refused to let it go. The journey of forgiveness. The next morning, Arman made a decision. He knew it wasn't going to be easy, but he had to find a way to let go of the pain that had been consuming him for so long. He didn't know where to start, so he decided to speak with an old mentor, Mr. Raymond, a wise elder who had always given Arman advice during difficult times. When Arman visited Mr. Raymond, he poured out his heart, explaining how Hassan's betrayal had destroyed him and how he had been unable to move on. Mr. Raymond listened patiently, then asked, "Arman, do you think holding on to this pain has brought you any peace?" Arman shook his head, ashamed. "No," he whispered. "It's only made things worse." Mr. Rehman smiled kindly and said, "Forgiveness is not about excusing the behavior of those who wronged you. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of resentment. You cannot change what happened, but you can choose how you respond to it. Let go, not for Hassan's sake, but for your own peace." Arman left the conversation with a heavy heart, but also with a seed of hope. He realized that forgiveness wasn't about reconciling with Hassan. It was about releasing the hold the past had on him. He didn't need Hassan to apologize in order to move forward. Forgiveness was something he could give himself. The act of letting go. Over the next few weeks, Arman began working on his journey of letting go. He started meditating daily, focusing on releasing the negativity that had clouded his mind for years. He journaled his feelings, writing letters to Hassan that he never intended to send, pouring out all his anger, hurt, and betrayal. Each word he wrote felt like he was releasing a part of the burden. He also started opening up to his wife, Layla, about his emotions. For the first time in years, they had heartfelt conversations about the pain he had carried. Layla listened with compassion, and their bond began to heal. Arman felt lighter with every conversation. The more he released, the more he realized that the person Hassan was 10 years ago no longer had any power over him. The bitterness that had once consumed him began to fade, replaced by a sense of peace he hadn't felt in years. A new beginning. One day, as Arman walked through the same park where he had met Hassan years ago, he found himself smiling. Not because he had forgotten the betrayal, but because he had finally let it go. The resentment that had once felt like chains around his heart was now gone, and in its place was a deep sense of freedom. Arman had learned the true meaning of forgiveness. It wasn't about the other person. It was about setting himself free. By letting go of the past, he had opened the door to a new life, one filled with love, peace, and joy. From that day on, Arman vowed to live his life with an open heart, never letting the bitterness of the past steal the happiness of the present. Conclusion. The power of letting go transformed Arman's life. He realized that forgiveness is not about making the other person right. It's about making yourself free. Holding on to pain, anger, or resentment only keeps you trapped in the past. But when you choose to let go, you free yourself to live fully in the present, to experience love, and to embrace the life you truly deserve.